What is up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Another video means another dopamine hike, said the buy something to feel something. And for today's video, we do have a review. The review in question is Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Cad Bane, based off of his Book of Boba Fett appearance. And I know I'm a little behind on this review, mostly because the past 3 months of my life I was very busy making a very long video. But anyways, here we are. And at any point during or after the video, you do realize you want to pick up this figure for yourself. For $24.99, you can get them off of Hasbro Pulse or Entertainment Earth. For $25.99, you can get them off of the Big Bad Toy Store. For $26.99, you can get them off of Amazon or the GameStop website. For $39.99, you can get them off of Walmart, but I am pretty sure that's not Hasbro selling that Cad Bane. This was the only option I was able to find them on Walmart. So if you can find a cheaper one, power to ya. And then for a whopping $55.99, you can pick up this figure at Target because it's included in the 2-pack with COBB VANTH. And for those wondering, the only difference between the 2-pack Cad Bane and the individual release is that in the 2-pack, Cad Bane gets some blaster effects for his blasters, whereas the individual release doesn't come with those effects at all. So if you're in the market for both of these figures and you want some extra accessories, this 2-pack might be for you. If you're just like me, who is just looking for the Cad Bane figure and can care less about the blaster effects, all the other options I've given to you are probably what you want to go for instead. But with that now out of the way, this is our third release of Cad Bane, or our third Cad Bane figure, with the first 2 releases being the Clone Wars model, the first of the 2 being that exclusive that came with Toto 360, and then our second Cad Bane figure is the Baraka appearance from the Bad Batch, and then here we have our third figure, which is the most recent appearance of him being from the Book of Boba Fett, obviously. So with all that information now out on the table, let's move on with the review. So when it comes to the packaging of the figure, it's our standard Black Series packaging. We got his name on the bottom, what he's from. We got some artwork on the side, and then going to the back with a brief description of what he's all about with some more artwork of Cad Bane. And with all that on the front, everything seems to be included. So let's open up this bad boy. So starting off with articulation in the head region, you cannot unfortunately rotate the head 360 degrees because of the piping attached to his face, but you still get a good range nonetheless, so I'm not going to complain about that at all. And then when it comes to looking up and down, he still has a good range, no complaints in that area. And then he can of course tilt his head side to side, so there's a lot of good range with this figure's head articulation. He can look around, express himself in a variety of ways, so very solid head articulation on this figure. And then if you can see, the head is also independently articulated from the head to allow for more range and expression for the figure. And then when it comes to arm articulation, you can rotate the arms 360 degrees up and over, and then you can spin them 360 degrees as well, which is nice to see. And then we can bring up the arm a decent amount, which means we can open up the arm a decent amount as well. So very nice to see that there. And then moving down to the elbows, unfortunately because of his gauntlet, you can't really bring up the forearms a whole lot, so the arms kind of stop at the 90-degree mark. And if you know me, I like it when the forearms can surpass that 90-degree mark, but the elbow articulation is okay nonetheless. And then that forearm can be rotated 360 degrees, and then with the hands, they can obviously rotate 360 degrees and bend the wrist however you please. And then moving down to the torso, we can rotate that 360 degrees. We can have them bend back and forth an okay amount. It's about the standard for Black Series torso articulation. And then we can have them wobble side to side, which allows for an overall spherical range of motion, which is nice to see on this figure. And overall, I'm pretty happy with the torso articulation here. And then finally, taking a look at the legs, it's hard to rotate the legs 360 degrees because of the duster, but it is possible. And because that range is technically there, we can move his legs around a decent amount. So very nice to see that it is possible despite the duster kind of getting in the way, but it's not the end of the world. And then after that, we can have him do a really good split, not a full split, I want to say maybe 90-95% of a split, but still really good nonetheless. And then we can bring up the legs a really good amount, so if you want him to sit off the ledge of a cliff or in a chair, he can do that. And then when it comes to the knee bend, I'm very happy with the range here. It allows us to get some running poses or a variety of other action poses if we wanted to. And then we can also rotate the lower half of the leg 360 degrees as well. And then when it comes to his boot, we can move it pretty much however we want and rotate it 360 degrees, which is always nice to see here. But one thing I didn't expect to see is the boot is actually 2 segments. Obviously there was the foot part we can rotate, but the upper half of the boot can also be rotated individually as well, which is really cool to see. And overall, I am very happy with the leg articulation on this figure. So overall, I am very happy with the articulation on Cad Bane's figure. I know I did say that the duster does get in the way of the legs to some extent, but as you'll see throughout the video, that I'm still able to achieve a variety of action poses for this figure, so it isn't completely the end of the world. But when it comes to everything else, I do think that the articulation is pretty standard for the Black Series. Not that that's a bad thing, it's just, you know, I think that this figure does achieve the standard for Black Series articulation, and I am very happy to see that. So overall, again, very good articulation when it comes to this figure. Not the most groundbreaking feature, but obviously you can take his hat off, and obviously there is detail under it, which is really cool to see. And the hat actually doesn't really feel too loose. It doesn't feel like it's just gonna fall off all willy-nilly, which is nice to see, because some of the other hats on the previous releases of Cad Bane were very loose, but that is not the case with this. So when it comes to Cad Bane's accessories, we have his blasters, and these are looking really good. I love the sculpt work Hasbro got down with all the different screws and buttons and just different little things that we see on the blaster, and I really like how they added the wood furnishing instead of making this blaster just entirely gray. It really caters towards the cowboy western aesthetic that Cad Bane is going for, and I'm very happy with the visual presentation of this accessory. And for those wondering or who have not seen yet, there are holsters for the blasters, and the blaster does fit in nice and snug and can be pulled out very easily as well. And I might as well throw this in as well. While doing research for Cad Bane's blasters from the Book of Boba Fett, I really couldn't find a name for them, and no matter what I look up to try and figure out said name for these blasters, it would always bring me back to the LL30s, which we did see in the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch. And taking a look at the LL30s and what we see in the Book of Boba Fett, it's 2 completely different blasters. There's no way you can mix these up, and even if you went, oh well, these are what the live action LL30s would look like, there's no way that's possible. They're so wildly different in silhouette that, you know, they can't be the same blaster, because the LL30s are clearly inspired off of like old school comic book blasters, where the blasters that we see in the Book of Boba Fett are clearly, you know, Civil War revolver styled blasters. And I don't know what the name of these blasters are. It kind of drove me crazy for how long it took to figure out that there is no name, and you know, it is what it is. But figured I'd throw that in, a little fun fact that we don't know what these blasters are called yet, because I refuse to believe that these are the LL30s that we did see. So when it comes to the visual presentation of this figure, there is a lot to like in both the realms of the paint and sculpt work, and honestly I don't think I have any issues with this character's visual presentation, so that's really awesome to see. And some things that really did stick out to me, starting off with the head sculpt and paint work there. Just like in the show, Hasbro really did show Cad Bane's age here, because in the Book of Boba Fett he's getting up there in age, and this figure does that well. I also really like how they handled his eyes, from having the yellow fade to red, or have the red fade to yellow, however you want to see it. I was a very big fan of that. I really do like all the different things that we see throughout his outfit, all the different buttons and badges. I like how we see the Tabana gas cartridges on his belt. I really like how they handled his gauntlets with all the different buttons and switches. They look amazing, and you know, this is a completely plastic figure, and I really like how they sculpted in, you know, the folds and wrinkles in his clothing to actually make it look like his, you know, clothing is made out of cloth and leather. So very happy to see that, and just again, overall very happy with the visual presentation of this figure. There's a lot to like, and I don't think there's any downsides to this figure's visual presentation, at least in my opinion. Let's put this bad boy into scale with some size comparisons. Starting off with a regular Black Series Imperial Stormtrooper, then we have the Black Series Chrysanthemum, a Black Series Death Trooper, Black Series Gaming Greats KX Security Droid, a Gaming Greats Republic Commando Battle Droid, Black Series Wrecker, Black Series Omega, Black Series Astromech Droid, Black Series Mouse Droid. And then moving on to some different figures, we have NECA's Predator 2 Elder Predator, aka Greyback, NECA's Aliens Xenomorph Warrior, Jazzwares' Halo the Spartan Collection Halo 3 Master Chief, Jazzwares' The World of Halo Halo Infinite Master Chief, and finally we have McFarlane's The Doomslayer. Here we are at the turntable segment of the video. This is pretty much where I go over what I like, dislike, pros, cons, strengths, weaknesses, stuff like that. Just give my general thoughts and opinions and give y'all something to bounce off of and go down into the comment section below and get a conversation started. If you do comment anything, I will most likely reply to it because obviously I like talking about this stuff. And usually in this segment, I go over the negative first to get that sour stuff out of the way. And honestly, there's nothing really I dislike about this figure. Hasbro did a really good job at making this figure do what it does well, and I just don't really have any issues with it. I think if anything, I have things that I desire from this figure, but just because I desire something from it doesn't mean that it makes this figure bad or worse or docks points in any way. And by that I mean I do kind of wish the blaster effects that we got in the 2-pack that we saw with Cad Bane and COBB were included, because it just would have been nice to see, because on the blasters that come with this release, there are little holes in the barrels for those blaster effects. And also it would have been really cool to see, you know, a flame effect, or been able to use the flame effect we saw with the deluxe Boba Fett figure way back when on, you know, Cad Bane, because in the Book of Boba Fett he does have a flamethrower on his gauntlet, and it just would have been a nice little accessory that would have maybe added some value to the figure. But after that, that's really all I can think about in the realm of negativity, if you can even consider those two things a negative. It's just more me wanting more from this figure. So that's pretty much it. So moving over to the positives for this figure now. So to no one's surprise, I'm very happy with this figure. I'm very happy with the visual presentation, the articulation, very happy with how Hasbro handled the accessories. By no means does this figure reinvent the wheel. It doesn't, you know, reinvent Black Series history or anything like that. But at the end of the day, Hasbro had a goal in mind, and I think they executed it well. It's just a figure that does its job very well. And if you are looking for, you know, a good, you know, Cad Bane figure, I do recommend this one. Unless you're one of those people that really do not like the design of Cad Bane from the Book of Boba Fett, then womp womp, I don't know what to tell you. But a very solid Cad Bane figure, and I highly do recommend. Like I said, the only negative things I have to say about it aren't even negative. It's just what I think they could have added to the figure, and it's just those blaster effects and the flame effects. But after that, yeah, everything's great. That's pretty much everything I have to say on the figure. So let's wrap up the video, y'all. If you did enjoy today's video, a like and a subscription would be awesome. You don't have to comment, I get it, it's a lot of effort moving those fingers and all, but if you do want to bounce off anything I did say in the video, you're more than welcome to, because obviously I like talking about this stuff, so I will most likely reply to y'all's comments. And don't worry about the bell, we both know that shit is broken, and if you want to see more content like this, there's plenty of it up on the channel. I've already reviewed a handful of Star Wars The Black Series figures. I also do Halo stuff, Aliens vs Predator, Alien and Predator, you know, stuff like that by NECA, and just a bunch of other stuff that is all toy and geek related. So if any of that does interest you, you're more than welcome to check it out. And with all that said, please have a nice day and stay hydrated. It's important.
I knew you were a killer.